A massive manhunt in New Jersey for a suspect that the FBI says is no threat to the community concludes peacefully and anticlimactically, with the suspect turning himself in without incident today. He will now be in the custody of the U.S. Marshals Service with an initial court appearance scheduled for this coming Monday in Newark. But before I give you any more details on who this suspect is or what he's wanted for, I want to focus instead on some key details. Notice how I said this man was not considered to be a threat to the community. Over the course of this 48-hour manhunt, authorities weren't even telling residents, neighbors to shelter in place or to lock down. Kind of strange, right? I can't think of any other situation where you got police helicopters in the sky, search dogs on the ground, and SWAT teams rolling down the streets, but no neighbors are told that the suspect is armed and dangerous, so stay locked inside your home. That's not how this usually works, so what's going on here? The federal government doesn't even go after notorious criminal gangs to this degree, even when they terrorize neighborhoods with drugs, prostitution, murder, extortion, and rape. It doesn't make any sense until you realize that this poor sap is wanted in connection with January 6th. And not only that, but he served 12 years honorably with the Army National Guard and was a military police sergeant. And yet this is how the country he was willing to fight and die for is repaying him, treating him worse than murderers who are now on the streets, even as we speak, thanks to Soros-backed DAs looking for their next victim. They, the government, choose to let those monsters free to prey on us, even while gangbangers post all over social media their illegal guns, their drugs, their stacks of stolen cash, and all the rest. They make themselves so easy to find, and yet it's military vets who support Trump who get treated like this. That is intentional. It's been almost 3 years since January 6th, but those disgusting online cretins who spend hours each day because they have no lives trying to track down each and every protester who dared to be at the Capitol based on surveillance video and facial recognition technology, well, they haven't stopped. And they went crying to USA Today earlier this year with evidence that one of the men in those videos they believed was a New Jersey military vet named Gregory Yetman. And you want to know what his supposed big crime is? He's accused of picking up a pepper spray canister from the ground and spraying it. USA Today says he sprayed it in the direction of where Capitol Hill police and protesters were. Now that's an odd word choice, isn't it? Sprayed it in the direction of. Doesn't sound like he was actively attacking anyone. And if he was, why would he spray to his side too, at his fellow protesters? That makes zero sense. At absolute best, wouldn't this be only a minor misdemeanor? You get some community service hours, you pay a fine, you're good to go, no problem. You don't get the SWAT teams rolling up and treating you like an Al-Qaeda terrorist. You know, now is the time to mention a great point my mom told me, so shout out to her. A few months back, when FBI Director Christopher Wray was testifying before Congress, Republican lawmakers were pushing him on how his agency does these gigantic pre-dawn raids to scare the neighbors half to death and have the political prisoner be handcuffed in their underwear in front of everyone, covered in red dots from guns trained on them as if they're drug cartel kingpins, even if these conservatives have been cooperative with the feds the whole time and have even offered to turn themselves in with no fuss. And Wray tried to ignore the obvious, which is that this is both a form of punishment and a humiliation ritual by the left to scare conservatives away from any mass mobilization against them through peaceful protest. And by ignoring the obvious, Wray instead accidentally tipped his own hand. He tried to say that the feds need such overwhelming numbers of agents with heavy machinery so that these arrests go smoothly and so no one gets hurt. Wray, though, got a little cocky and was like, we never have any problems with our raids, unlike those local law enforcement, like those cops. And as my mom pointed out, the reason why real cops get into shootouts when serving warrants on their suspects is because they're arresting real criminals who fight back. They're arresting murderers and gangbangers. Wray knows darn well he's going after innocent soft targets without a criminal or violent bone in their body. And Wray relishes what that power imbalance allows him to get away with. Because if he was going after all the El Chapos who illegally entered this nation's open border, then it wouldn't matter if Wray sent the entire FBI to get them. There'd be bullets flying and his helicopters being shot down like what happens in Mexico. So no, he loves going after grandparents, cancer patients, military vets, and other soft targets instead. No fuss, just shock and awe against political dissenters.